And you are live, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. We'll call this meeting to order. Okay, is there any public comment? All right, did anybody not have a chance to read the minutes? And are there any corrections or changes?
I didn't see any.
Okay.
I read them. No changes.
Okay, minutes stand approved. Do we have any claims in a financial report?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Do. And I need you to know that they've been turned in because I had to turn them in on the fiscal year ending the end of June, and I could do it till the 12th of July. So I did turn these in so we could count them for that, just FYI. So I have one from True Value for $89.97 for some primer, $37.99 for a sprayer from Townsend Hardware. Your insurance was up for $5,975, which was due July 1st, so I got that in. And then my printer ink for $33.99.
So this is our liability policy for the airport?
Yep.
So, yes.
Okay.
Sure it is.
And that is all I have. I also have your financial cash updates.
The sprayer and the primer look about right to you, Dwight?
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, do we have a motion to approve the financial claims?
I'll make a motion, or I'll move to approve the financial claims.
Second?
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
I don't know if she's still there.
Jess, can you hear us okay?
Yeah, sorry, I had you on mute for a second.
Okay.
I passed.
Okay,
Sorry.
thank you. Okay, and financial report?
Your cash is $34,521.36, and your CIP is $480,129.85. So it hasn't changed.
Can you give me the rest of that 34?
Sure, $34,521.36.
Okay. Howdy, Seth.
Hey.
Welcome. All right, we're going to skip past Lance's portion here in hopes that he is going to call in. We had not heard yet. So we'll move right along. We have on the agenda here tenancy month-to-month lease agreement language. And I believe Rob wanted to speak to that. Is that correct?
Yeah. You know, we moved through and made a quick decision on that, approving that lease, and then with further review of that, I found that it appears that the language is not completely consistent with the language for the airport primary lease, and so I am proposing that we make those two leases essentially the same with regard to airport use for aeronautical purposes only. And so what I've done is I've excised the language from the primary lease to be placed, if we approve this change, in the sublease, which is the Broadwater County Airport hangar month-to-month tenancy agreement. And so the reason I think this is important is down at Three Forks, what we found was, while I was on the board, that when we had subleasing going on, we had strange things happening. We had non-aviation use of hangars. We had hangars that would be used for essentially commercial use, but for a trucking company. We had a semi-truck trailer and a tractor that were being parked at the airport, and it was just, you know, what's going on with this? You know, so it was associated with a set of hangars that essentially were a multiplex, and they were parking the rig at the end of the hangar where there was actually grass and that sort of thing. And so I think that what we need to do is be consistent in the sense that if we have a sublease, that the subleasee is aware of the limited use of the property so that it is entirely focused on aviation or aeronautical use. And so what I'm proposing is that in the sublease, under purpose of lease, I would like to suggest that we insert the same language that we have in the primary lease, and that language is lessee desires to engage in certain commercial, check the box, or non-commercial activities, aviation or aeronautical related activities proposed to lease the hangars described herein. The leaser desires to lease to lessee said hangar according to the terms of this lease. And so that's consistent with the language that's in the primary lease. And then further, I would like to insert as item 3 in the sublease and push down all the sections this language. The lessee shall use the hangar for aeronautical purposes only. The lessee shall not use any buildings, hangars, or other improvements constructed upon airport property for storage or predominantly non-aviation related items without prior written approval from the airport board. And so I think by bringing this language into the sublease in those particular locations, that brings the Broadwater County airport hangar month-to-month tenancy agreement in compliance in language with the primary sublease or lease that we would be letting to lessees here at the airport.
And, you know, if somebody wants to, if they got an antique car or some such thing and they want to put it in the hangar with their plane and that, they can come talk to the board and
Yeah.
approval, yeah.
Yeah, and that language includes that potential.
Yeah.
That's
good.
So essentially, we are essentially stating to be compliant with FAA requirements with regard to hangar use on airports. And so that way, our paperwork will all be consistent, and the FAA will have no issues with regard to the way that we're actually conducting business, and our documents are all consistent.
Yeah, the question I have is this month-to-month sublease agreement subordinate to the original lease? And the reason I ask that is it seems to me that's addressed in the lease, and whether we need to take that step or not, I don't know. That might be something for the county attorneys, but it does say very clearly in the original lease that it is for predominantly aviation use, and the language we added a year ago, I believe it was, lessee shall not at any time use the premises or allow the premises to be used for either permanent or temporary residential purposes as a hangar home. And then it's also addressed in the original lease, the subleasing issue is addressed in section 15. The lessee shall not sell, sublease, or assign or transfer this lease any part of the premises without the express prior written consent of the lessor, which is us. And then it goes on to say, the lessor may consider without limitation the conditions existing at the airport, including federal, state, local statutes, rules, regulations, ordinances, standards, policies, and notices in effect. So I guess that's my question is, are we covered? Is this sublease subordinate to the main lease? And if so, in my opinion, that might be an unnecessary step. I see what you're saying, if we want it all in sync with each other, and I have no problem with that, of course. But that's my comment on the topic, I guess.
Yeah, as a counter to that, I think if a lease is signed that does not designate aviation use to a subleasee, that individual may not know that information because it may not be conveyed by the person that we are leasing the property to.
Mm-hmm.
So my concern is that at Three Forks, that information wasn't passed on to the subleasee, and they went ahead thinking they were just fine, and then they were a little surprised to find out that was the case.
And I think what you're saying is our only recourse at that point would be to go to our lessee to enforce that, rather
Yes.
than enforcing it directly.
Right, and this, I think by making these changes, then, because this is a Broadwater County document that was drawn up by the, I guess, was it Darrell, the assistant, the county attorney
The
that drew this up?
Deputy County Attorney.
Deputy County Attorney. So since this is a Broadwater County document, this gives us reach through
Should be
as a
looked over.
board to the subleasee, so that individual, we can contact them directly and enforce this. And so we don't have to essentially rely upon the person that we've leased the property to enforce our rules. So I just see it as a cleaner way, and I think the FAA would probably agree that it's a cleaner way to make sure that we're enforcing our rules that are compliant with FAA regulations.
Okay.
Yep.
Seth or Jess, do you have comment on it?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with Rob. I think that it's obviously an important issue that we need to be clarified, but I guess a simple fix would just be to ask the county attorney if the sublease is, like you said, subordinate to the main lease, then yeah, I don't know if it's necessary to go through those steps, but if it, is not a big deal, let's just throw it in and the attorney can add that in and, so it's written legally and covers everything. I mean,
Okay,
I guess just some clarification from the attorney, I guess, would probably be what I would recommend.
yeah, so in that light, I think any action we take tonight should be, let's say we adopt this and then someone makes a motion and let's say it gets approved, it would be in the form of handing it to the attorney's office for their input, I guess.
Sure.
I think that's a good idea.
Okay, so in that case, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
I think it needs to be done.
Okay, so in that case, then we'd entertain a motion to recommend the language that you've stated be placed in the hands of the attorneys for their review. Would you agree?
Second.
Yeah, I'll move to have this language reviewed by the county attorney, and with regard to its relationship to the primary lease.
Okay,
And I did second.
great.
He
We have a
was
motion
shaking
and
his
a
head yes, so.
Sure. So we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion?
I guess my other question or something to bring up is a sublease has to come before the board so that we are made aware of that. At that point, the board could also reiterate, this is what the main lease says.
Yeah.
So there, in Three Forks situation, I don't know what their protocol is, but it's my understanding that if we do these subleases, it needs to be, I think we talked about this at the last meeting, how it needs to be communicated when these sales or these subleases go into effect. The board just needs to be made aware of that, and if that's the case, then we just reiterate, just so you're aware that here is the main lease and these are the rules.
Okay.
Yeah, and then I guess, just in response to that, I guess by putting in the hands of the subleasee the exact language that is in the primary lease, there's no question as to them understanding that it's something they've signed and are agreeing
Yeah,
to.
fair enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, is there any further discussion? Okay, let's put the motion to a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Hi.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay. So you will get that language to the attorney?
There
Okay.
you go.
Yeah.
Wonderful, thank you.
Yep.
Okay, so the next agenda item we have here, new leases for current hangar owners, and there was some question last month on just how that process works, and I'm not familiar. In fact, Daryl might be able to shed some light on this for us as well, but I think the discussion revolves around the fact that we have updated our lease agreement, and we're pretty sure we're good for a while now. And then, so how does that go out to the current leaseholders? Does that go to them to be signed, or do we inform them that the lease has updated and give them a copy? I don't know that process.
I would think it has to be signed. Let's run that past Daryl.
Yeah.
So with that, Mr. Chairman, let me ask a question. So what that means is making a new copy, sending it out through snail mail. They have to fill out the whole lease again. They have to sign it. They have to bring the lease back. It has to be signed by all of us again. It has to be all, is that the process? Proved,
Well,
it has to be
I don't
correct?
know.
Okay, that's what I'm wondering.
Daryl, I was hoping you could shed some light on this for us.
I got a message from Lance, I'll share it with you. Anyway, what's this?
So this is regarding the current lease, and the question is, so we've got it updated and we need to get that in the hands of the current leaseholders.
Mm-hmm.
What is the process for that? Do we present the updated new lease to them and have them sign it, or do we inform them that the lease has changed? What is the process there?
This is for current leaseholders?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I'll be honest with you, I don't know if I have a great answer for it. I've had this discussion a couple of times with our county attorney's office.
Mhm.
Whether we just do an addendum or
Right.
we send everybody a new lease. They don't know if they want to do.
So they're undecided on how they want to handle that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I give a little insight into Gallatin County. When they redid the lease down there about 5 years ago, everybody was required to sign the new lease, or, you know, if they didn't sign the lease, leave the property.
Yeah.
It was really
In
a-
my mind, I think honestly, that's the best way of doing it.
Sorry?
Because in my mind, I think that honestly that is the best way to do it,
Yeah,
because our lease has changed so much from the original lease.
yeah.
Just send it out an addendum, but there will be some resistance to a couple of folks that will not want to sign a new lease. So
Yep.
this board will have to decide how tough they want to be.
Yeah, it was the way it was down there too.
Yeah,
You know, it's
yeah.
kind of a tough go, but that's the way
I
the
would say
county
most
attorney
everybody
played the
will sign
game.
it,
Yeah. So,
so.
But as I think the point Jess brought up a month or two ago, and I think it's a valid point, is we can't have, multiple versions of leases all over the
Yeah.
airport.
No.
It's just,
exactly.
I
It's
agree
not
100%.
workable.
I think where the county attorney is hung up, they're not sure they can force somebody to sign a new lease.
yeah.
I don't know. So, I mean, if that's something you guys want me to start pushing hard for, I will do that. So just let me
Well-
know. Let me know what you want to do.
Daryl, what's the difference between that and if we raise the per square footage fee, which we're regulated to do every year? That's changing the lease.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, in the manner of speaking, you're right. It is. But I mean, I think that's pretty spelled out in the lease that that's
Yeah.
going to happen each year. So everybody's pretty well aware of that.
They're aware of it, and they were aware of it when they signed it, because it's in the language originally that will happen every year.
Mm-hmm.
Versus this, so there's no language in there
Yeah.
that I'm aware of that says you have to sign a new lease when we come up with new language,
No.
which is probably why the attorneys are
But a
hesitating.
portion of these changes are because of FAA desires, correct?
Well, yeah,
Mhm.
you're right.
Yes.
So,
Along with the ownership, right? Because the city is no longer involved.
That's
And-
right.
And that's a great point, Jess. That was what I brought up when I said,
Yeah.
and now that it's strictly owned by Broadwater County, should we really be having a complete new lease?
Yep. That's
So,
the way. That's the way
I
to do it.
mean, yeah, I think if they could get past that one point, they probably would So, if you guys would like me to have more discussion with them, I surely will do that.
Well, there's only two options: leave it as is, which I think we all agree is unworkable,
Yeah.
or we
Mhm.
push for that. So I think we would all agree that that's the step
Mhm.
that we need to take.
Yeah, very good.
Yes.
Is there any other comment or discussion on the new leases for current hangar owners? Okay.
Hold on, I guess there's, so if that's something you guys want to do, let's go ahead and make a
and vote on
motion and vote on it, that
it. Okay.
it's something that the board wants.
Okay,
Move
so to
forward.
clarify, we're gonna need a motion that states that we, as an airport board, request that the county attorney office give us guidance on getting new leases from the current lease holders. So
Yeah.
not very well said, but I think.
For two reasons. One, the changes in the lease, and the other one, we got rid of the city.
Yes, okay.
Or the city got rid of us, whichever way you wanna look at it. So, the current lease is not correct.
It's not valid.
Okay. So if somebody would make a motion and maybe put it a little more clearly than I'd.
I will move that. I will move,
So
That-
can you
And
restate
I'll
the
second.
motion,
okay.
please? I'm requesting a motion be resaid, please.
Reset?
Please.
Okay. That the county attorneys look over our request because of the re-signing of all the leases at the hangars, because of the city not being involved anymore, and some changes that were requested through
Required by FAA
and,
regulation.
yeah, regulations.
Okay, we have a motion.
And I'll second.
Okay, any further discussion? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Sorry.
Go ahead and if you have something to add, Jess.
Sorry, I guess if the attorneys, I don't know if it needs to be included in the motion, or is it just understood that if they give the go-ahead, then Auburn can just send out those leases with an addendum or a list of changes, or
I don't
we
think
want
we're,
to attack that meeting?
I don't think we're that far yet. So what we're doing now is
Okay.
requesting that the attorneys review, or we're requesting that the attorneys make a decision on how we can proceed to have the new leases updated.
Got it, okay. Okay, I understand.
Okay. Any further comment? Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay,
All right,
so you'll take that to them?
I will do that, and so Aubrey, when you get the minutes written, that states that, then I'll need that to take with me,
Okay,
you know,
yep.
so that was the board's
Got it.
action. That's
Wonderful.
That's how that works.
Great.
Got it.
Perfect.
So, I'd been in contact with Lance. Do you want me to make that report?
Sure.
Yeah, let's do that now.
Okay, so, he said he had nothing really new to report. He's been hesitant to bring forth let me make sure I get his wording right. The discussion of the taxi lanes. I think was that alternative additive number one? The new taxi lanes.
I have that
I
here
think it
somewhere.
was. I think number two was the ramp expansion and.
Yeah, number one was new hangar taxi lane relocating fence,
Yep.
number two was apron expansion.
Right.
Okay, yep.
And the only reason he's holding off on that is he's waiting for the grant to come through from the FAA. He's expecting that in the next couple of weeks. He said they're starting to roll out some of the grants now.
He's
So-
hesitant to ask for option number 2.
No, to be sure that they are going to do additive alternative number 1, which
Oh,
I think it's pretty good chance that they are, because we already signed the paperwork for it that came
Yeah.
from the FAA,
yeah,
but he didn't want to make that commitment until the grant was awarded, I guess,
okay.
really where he was at. I think that was really pretty much all he had new. I think we all know that the alternative added number 2, the FAA rejected it
Yeah,
at this point, but it's not off the table.
yeah.
It's still there. So
Yeah.
Dwight and I don't know whoever else has been up there taking pictures of all the activity that's been going on. We've had quite a bit, honestly, and that ramp is pretty congested. We were going to have some of that firefighting traffic here, but they decided not to do that. But if they would have done that, it would have really plugged it up.
Yeah.
It'd be good. But there's been two ag operators working out of there, so there's been three of those planes in there. They're big airplanes, and they take up quite a bit of space. And there's how many tied down, Dwight? At one time, wasn't there like 4?
4 tied down.
Yeah, 4 tied down, and there's a couple there getting fuel and
Mhm.
some stuff like that. So, granted, it's not all the time that it's like that, but
Right.
but when it is, it is.
Yep.
And so, anyway, we'll keep working on that. Lance really actually does have some ideas how we can still pull that off. I mean, he's very good at what he does,
Yep,
and he'll probably present that to us when that time comes. So,
great.
I think it'd be
We
great.
could have a big airport party. Everybody pull their airplanes out, park them on the ramp, and
I'll
we'll
even-
take a good picture.
Right.
I'll bring mine up from Three Forks.
I'll bring mine over from
There
Canyon
you
Ferry.
go.
Once I get out of the annual.
Yeah, that's good. So one thing that was in my paperwork that I don't think we've talked about, and Lance brought it, I think it was the last meeting, the permit application for the city's water tower. So I think that that's just something we overlooked, probably needs to get on our agenda to discuss
I
that.
think it's here.
He didn't get on in time to go through that and
Yeah.
for you guys to approve it.
Mhm.
Yeah. We can
But-
definitely do that under the RPA update.
I don't know.
Yeah, I think, I mean, it's not,
Yeah,
Uh,
permit application.
it's not gonna be a problem that it does wait till the next meeting.
Okay.
I don't think it's
I'll
gonna be an
make
issue.
sure it gets on it.
Because they're not that far along in the project, but they're just trying to get that application so that they could build that, unless you decide you don't want to give it to them, so.
The other thing that I recall him mentioning as an email was some use or lose funds to the tune of 600 grand or something that we need to start thinking about.
Yes.
What we would put that towards, whether it be
Mhm.
AWAS or fence or
Mhm.
snow equipment or whatever. But I don't know enough about it to speak to it, so I don't know that we have that discussion now.
Yeah.
But just planting that seed, I think he wanted to plant the seed in our minds that there is a
Mhm.
chunk of funds coming that we need to think about.
You're right. Well,
Absolutely.
Adam, there was some AIP funds that are reaching that 5-year mark,
Yeah,
and they either need to be lent to another airport or us to use
I was
them,
just
so.
gonna ask about that. Do you, anything off the top of your head, how much?
I don't know for sure, no, I don't know, but
Can,
it was
it was a
a
significant
couple
amount.
$100,000.
Yeah.
can, maybe next month, can you have that?
Oh, Lance will have it, I'm sure.
That's what-
Sure.
If we can.
Okay,
Yep.
it just gives us an idea, because if you start looking for snow removal equipment or buildings or
Mhm.
anything like that, you better know how much you wanna spend, or you
Mhm.
have to spend, because things are not cheap.
Yeah,
Put that in the email,
right.
Yeah,
Well,
I've got it here.
600,000.
It is, and
2025 upcoming FAA funding. Townsend will have a use or lose bipartisan infrastructure law funding available for a 2025 project, roughly $600,000.
Yeah.
Would like to begin discussions on AWAS, wildlife fencing, acquiring land, etc. for priorities.
Yeah, he's got it here, 2025 at the top, 598,000.
Okay,
That's right there.
okay.
I know that the paperwork's been submitted to the FAA for the instrument approach.
Hmm.
So if that's going forward, I would say that the AWAS is probably
Sure.
integral part of that, so.
Okay, so keep that in mind, and we'll get some input from Lance when the time comes. Anything else from Lance, Daryl?
No, that's all we had.
Great. Okay, we have a couple things on hangar lease requests and priority list. The first two gentlemen, Brian Foster and Jeremy Matz.
This is something that's still kind of just hanging over our heads. I think I just need
Yes.
to move on to get off the agenda, maybe. I don't know, Mr. Chairman, that's up to you. But Jeremy Matz, I did not contact. Daryl thought maybe you guys would want to have some feedback. The board, the rest of the board would like to have some feedback before I called him, before I moved on to the next person on the list.
Yeah.
Brian Foster is just, I never got heard back from Kay, and maybe we just need to know that he's okay with, I didn't know if, the question was whether we need to formally have a letter that released him from his lease, so there was a formal something, and maybe we don't need that, I don't know. I drafted one, gave it to Kay, and she's probably been busy. She hasn't
Yeah.
gotten back to me, so I'm just kind of in a stalemate with that.
So they do have a draft of.
I did a draft and sent it to her and said, hey, is this okay? And I
Okay.
gave her the lease, and
Okay.
she was gonna get back to me.
Yeah, I think we need to move forward with it. I mean, Brian Foster has stated he wants out.
Yep.
He's over the time anyway.
Yep,
I think we need to go ahead and release that spot.
absolutely.
All right, so, yeah, so what's the board input on Jeremy? As far as, I just need to go ahead and give him a call.
Well, one step at a time, so, I mean, do we want to make a formal motion that we do send a letter to Brian releasing him of his lease?
I think we already did that.
We
Yeah,
did.
And that's what I sent to Kay.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, she said, I asked her for help on it, she said, I need to see his lease. I sent the lease in May. Then about a month later, 3 weeks later, I sent a letter, I said, here's a draft of a letter, could you please look it over? And maybe Daryl, you can help me with it, I don't know. And she never got back to me. I just wanted to make sure the letter was okay.
Yep.
Yeah, I think we voted on that.
Yeah.
We
The
did.
meeting you weren't
It's
here.
just been stalemate,
Okay.
so
You're up in
maybe it's just
Idaho.
me that needs to follow up with her.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, well, one way or another, we need to move forward so we can
Yep,
utilize this spot.
okay.
Yep.
Okay, regarding the Jeremy Matz, he has stated to you, I believe, Abra, that he would not be ready to build for 6 to 12 months.
Yes, he's waiting to sell the property. So,
So I think we move past him.
okay,
Now the question is, so we'll go to the next person on the list, obviously.
which is Matt Lindbergh, who wanted the 8U9, but I told him they were building out there, so I can call him to see if he wants the spot. That's the next person on the list.
Okay, let's do that.
Okay,
And then the other question regarding Jeremy's request is where he then falls on the priority list.
yes, so I can let him know.
Yep, so we need to decide, does his spot remain at the top of the list, in other words? Or does he move to the bottom of the list, having been offered, refused, and now he goes to the back? So that's what we have to decide.
Underneath Brian.
I say we treat it like we do with Brian. Didn't we put him to the bottom of the
Yes.
list?
Yes.
Yes, we did.
Yeah, I personally think that's logical. I mean, the opportunity was offered him. It's very easy to put your name on the list. It's another deal to pull the trigger on building a hangar, and having been given that opportunity, I think it's logical that he goes to the bottom of the list again, and when he's, ready, and when that time comes up again, then he'll have another opportunity.
Mhm.
I think,
Yeah.
Great.
keep it the same.
It's consistent with what we talked about at that meeting.
Okay,
Great.
thank you.
Okay, so Jeremy Matz will remain on the list and go to the bottom. Okay.
So just a question about all of that. That is a fairly small hangar space,
Mhm.
45 by 40. So if people would initially put their name in the hat for a larger space, how would that work with the list? If they're
Currently, it's the
intending-
only space we have, right?
Well, if they
Yes.
put their name in the list for the expansion, tentatively for the expansion. I'm just wondering how that plays out.
Yeah, and our quote-unquote list doesn't specify that, they're on on the list for any given spot.
Okay.
It's a hangar opportunity, it's a lease opportunity.
Mhm.
And
So
I
it
think we
can
leave
just
it that way.
rotate through the whole cycle.
I think
then.
we leave it that way, don't you guys?
Yeah, it's fair. Either you want it or you don't.
Yeah,
Yep.
Mr. Chairman, because the next person on the
But
list,
the- you
Scott,
know-
has 2 planes. He has 2 planes that he wants to put in a hangar, so obviously that spot may or may not work. I don't know if it's.
Unless you can stack them.
in which
Yeah.
case you could refuse it and
If
go
it's a
back to the
highway
bottom
and
of
a
the
low
list. I
plane
think that's
flowing, it may work
Okay.
out.
Yep,
Bold.
perfect.
Yeah, I think we keep it clean like that,
Okay,
Yeah.
don't you guys?
Yeah,
perfect.
Okay, anything else on that particular spot?
No.
Okay, next item is Daryl and Cody Folkboard new lease. Okay, So we
Needs to
have
be
a-
signed by the board
a
and,
signed lease, okay?
yep.
Well, Daryl, a little background, please. I assume we're gonna have an ag operation.
Well, yes and no. I mean, so we did buy Mike and Jeannie's hangar,
Mm-hmm.
and we wanted to wait till the new lease was completed before we gave it to the board.
Mm-hmm.
We knew that was in the works. I thought that was the right thing to do.
thank you.
Yeah, so,
Mhm.
so that's why, it's here now. Yeah, Cody, you know, he has his helicopter operation. I think that he would probably like to move that up here,
Mm-hmm.
separate from what he's doing down on 3 Forks. He's just basically running out of room, and
Mm-hmm.
I think he's probably feeling pressure as well. All the new activity at 3 Forks,
Mm-hmm.
you know how that works, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so, anyway, that's really pretty much about it. And, you know, we're working with Jeannie, who's giving her all the time she needs to make new arrangements wherever she wants to go. And, been helping her. I stop up and see her quite a bit, and I know that Dwight gets to see her a lot. She seems to be doing pretty well. But
Yeah, I think maybe we need to take some pictures around 3 Forks and send it to
This
the
is
FAA. That's
totally
gonna be in
new lease, right?
Townsend.
yeah,
That is the new lease. That is the new lease, yes.
I think that's gonna help push that ramp expansion if we can,
mm-hmm.
you know, do that, to show them that's gonna be here,
Yeah.
and that they're going to have to pony up, because right now we're way under budget with the work that's being done. We got more
Well,
money than,
You know, that was our argument, Lance and I, when we talked with them. I mean, we were originally planning, almost a $7 million project, and it's way under that.
yeah, yeah.
But I think that Lance has another plan that he's gonna probably discuss with you guys, and
Good.
might still be able to go forward with that. But, you know, as far as for the hangar, yeah, we're excited about it. It's a great
Is he a
hangar.
co-owner?
Oh, yeah.
Daryl,
Well, it's the
co-owner, or is
same-
he just a co-owner?
Same kind of setup that Cody bought
Looks
down
like a
there
coalescing,
at 3 Forks. I
yeah.
mean, that was essentially set up for, you know, a kitchen
that's
and
what it
everything
looks
else
like
in
to
it, and so
Yeah.
it's perfect
Cody
for,
and Daryl on
you know, a big commercial
this
operation where you need to,
This is
you know,
owner.
have folks
Co-owner.
fueled up with food in
Yeah.
addition to
Right.
fuel.
That,
So,
you know, actually, that's a little bit of the
Well, we could
downside.
ask for
I mean, we can't
clarification.
really use that part of the
Or
hangar. 'cause,
owners.
I mean, that's,
well, you
we could use it
could,
for an office space,
yeah, office space, and you could knock it
We'll
out
ask for that
for
clarification.
maintenance.
and we may have to do some of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll pass this on, Seth, but one second.
Yeah,
I'll
no,
look at
that'd be a great hangar.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, this is the the latest lease
is.
language,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah. Has the new additions.
That's what it looks
for-
like. Okay. Pass
for
that down.
everything, yeah.
Protect the 27th thing. I got it.
We'll give a moment for Seth to thumb through it.
Yeah, 3 Forks is definitely the model for what's gonna happen here, because, you know, it's happened really fast. I mean, it went from being, you know, pretty much backwater type of environment to suddenly, you got skydiving,
Yeah.
you got, you know, training operations down there up the Bazoo, and, you know, it's definitely
Yeah.
changed.
I've been spending more time at the airport, and I'm with, like Dwight, you're surprised at how busy our little airport is. A lot going on out there during the day, you know, we don't realize unless you're around there.
Yep.
Did you want to clarify the ownership?
Yeah, I would like to.
Sure.
You sign, underneath your signature, you
Have you
put
signed it?
owner.
I have not.
Cody didn't put anything.
I'd like to.
Oh, yeah, he should be owner. Yeah. Cole, yeah.
Yeah,
We'll make sure we'll
lessee,
fill that in.
lessee line is blank, and then it's signed
Yeah.
by both Cody and yourself.
Mhm.
Under your name, it says owner,
Mhm.
and that's how this board is gonna view it. You're the owner, and
Well, Cody should be,
so it would be a co-owner
yeah.
situation.
Yeah, Cody is. Mhm.
Okay, do you mind if I write in owner under
write owner.
Cody's name?
Yeah, right owner, please. Yeah.
Okay. And just to review, our responsibility here, there was somewhere in here it says where, the board will grant a lease.
Yeah.
I thought I had the language in front of me, but
Let's see.
it basically says the board will not reasonably refuse, a lease.
Yes, that's exactly what it is.
I can't find it at the moment, but that's the idea. Okay, we'll do it this way. Let's get a motion to approve, then we'll discuss. And then if passed, then we'll sign. Does that sound good?
Sure.
I move that we accept the petition of lease for the lot 5, and what's the other 5?
Lot 5, Hangar 5.
Hangar 5 at the Townsend County Airport. The request is by Cody and Daryl Volkford.
Okay, so we have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, we have a second from Jess. Okay, discussion. I guess the only discussion item would be, the fact that it'll be a agricultural operation, and just so everybody's clear that that we're fine with that if you vote yes for this. Okay. Any other discussion? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, so
Congratulations.
Thank you.
I won't hold the meeting up. I'll sign this in a minute if we just leave it here.
Paul, there's 3 places for 3 board members to sign.
Okay, all right. We
Yeah, I
won't
think
hold the
we'll-
meeting up while we
3 of us
write
have
on
to sign.
paper. Wonderful. All right, Dwight, the conch is yours.
Okay. Dwight Thompson, Airport Manager. So just back some old business, the fuel system. So we did have a gentleman come down and met with us out there, and he ordered us some new display module and a credit card reader. And they came in and we put them in and nothing worked. Absolutely nothing. I mean, there was just a blank screen on the thing. So I put the other pieces back in. He is coming, instead of having us come down as a special trip, he's going to try to tie it with another trip since things are working, so we don't have to pay that fee for him to come down here and get it. He'd ordered the part, so it's not our fault. He was out there when he ordered the parts, and for some reason it doesn't work. So that's where we're with that. So, but it seems to be working fine at the moment. But yeah, we need to get a new display. It just needs to be upgraded. I think this is the cheapest way to do it. And I think they've held off on the bill, Abra, because they haven't. They want to know where to send it, and then I gave them your information if you haven't got it yet. So maybe they're waiting to see what it's going to be the total.
Do you remember what the bill was supposed to be?
Well, I think it's like $500 or so. It's a lot cheaper than what we were thinking of thousands.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's
I
but
like that number.
yeah, but we've got to have it working, But yeah, so it's just the module pieces that there, and they're very simple to replace. So 4 screws in each one. So that's the fuel system. The irrigation system, Seth has been the guy on that. And I'll just, you probably tell us that. You know, I saw some
I've one zone
risers again
changed,
today.
and then I've got 4 more to go. I finally got the contractor heads, and so then I have to meet with Brandon at BSE to change out the frost free, and then I have a backflow system. It'll be a process, but soon. Once I can it does have better pressure when you change the heads out, so the heads were a problem, but not all of the problem.
Well, you guys dug up heads that I never knew were even there.
Yeah, it took me a while.
I don't know how you found them all. I mean, seriously.
It was a challenge.
Yeah.
It took a couple hours to figure out where they were.
I've never seen any kind
Most
of
and
drawing
most
on 'em.
and the system, it might be the start of the errors, because when the heads couldn't come up, you couldn't get the water out, so it might not have been properly blown out. We'll find out.
Yeah.
We'll find out per zone though, because you can always shut a zone down and turn one on. So we'll find out.
When I was walking across here today to go to the fuel tank to get the numbers for the fuel, you know, the ground is dry and the grass is very crunching. You know, it needs water, but there's
Yeah.
nothing there.
And so yeah, it's just
Unfortunately, things are
takes me
yellow
about an hour and a
there.
half to change out a set of 5 heads. I just have to find the hour and a half.
Well, I appreciate the help, Seth, on
Yeah.
that. I mean, I don't know anything about that stuff. So.
Yeah, and I left them all in the pilot's lounge. I'm sure you saw that. I
Yes,
left
yeah.
all my gear in there.
Yeah,
So.
yeah, appreciate that.
You want to tell them, Seth, what we think where the water leak might be?
Oh yeah, the weep hole from the stem, the damaged stem in the frost tree.
Yeah.
It definitely, you can hear it when you stand next to it, and there's a ball valve that shuts it off on top. So you just have to get Brandon out to
Yeah.
take it. And I'm trying to piggyback that with the propane tank hole for 12,
Oh,
so that it can keep the costs down. Because there's going to be a machine out there. So anyone else that needs a propane tank out there, get a machine out there.
Yep, it's cheaper for everybody if we can get together.
Yeah.
I did ask 2 other people.
Oh
to-
yeah.
To send quotes there.
We got Madison. It's around for a 500-gallon tank with all the fittings and running, not digging the trench, but running all the stuff. It was about $6,200.
Yeah.
Yeah, plus or minus.
That's about, well, this in here was 47 something, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I think it was 46 or 47 out there.
So,
He used to work for Madison.
what did he?
so the next thing is Daryl had mentioned fire mode that we kind of started last week. Got a call from one of the fire bosses, so they were wanting to move one of the fire crews down here, helicopter unit and such. I talked with Daryl and Adam both and explained their proposal. Went to work, and we thought that the heavy helicopters we put out on the alternative runway, and so went out there and widened that up, mowed it, and got it ready for them. They were going to come with outhouses and the whole work. Daryl has lots of experience working with the fire crews and has been on it, and we were just we got ready for them, and then they decided to stay in Helena. But it's good training, so we're ready for them. That changes. It was mentioned a minute ago about extra money and snow removal. Just wanted to remind everybody that the Helena Airport has offered maybe some snow removal for us, so we could use that money for something else. And I think Jeff is going to give us a snow plow from Helena. So when that
That'd be
comes
great.
around here, so just to keep that one in mind, we might think we'll be good there. The ag operators, it's great to see that they've been busy doing things and the activity going on there. The only thing on the new apron that we're going to put in, is it too late, or do other airports have drains or something that kind of keeps it's messy? The ramps have got a lot of spillover and stuff there, and then people drive over where it's been spilled and stuff. Or does Three Forks, is there what do they do at other facilities for?
Well,
ag?
it's supposed to be set up in such a way that there's a drainage pattern to the way that the grade is. And so I would think that RPA would be looking at that. That's something we can ask Lance.
Okay, I can ask him.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I didn't know if we
Yeah.
can just wash it off or, you know, things that, but,
Yeah.
You know, honestly, they shouldn't be spilling, I'll just say that.
no, I mean, but I
But
think,
it
you see it from
happens.
all of
It
them. It's just
happens
not
every
one
now and
person,
then.
it's, but all of them,
It should be
yeah.
washed. At Three Forks, I actually have a loading pit
Oh,
where they load, where they do most of their loading.
is that something we should be looking at for,
We talked about it, and it just didn't rise to the top of the list,
yeah.
Hmm.
so,
That's something we'll mention to Lance and get his input on.
Yeah, it might be just something, that, you know, thinking ahead, you know, maybe it's a good idea that sometimes these other things kind of pop up as,
Mhm.
time goes on, but,
Now, just make sure I'm thinking this properly. Wasn't that option number 2 that the FAA so far has left on the table but said no to? Didn't that include the second tie-down area?
well, it included the tie-down area, but it didn't include an actual loading pit. which-
No, I'm just talking about the tie-down, that, because Dwight mentioned on the second one.
It'd be great to get them separated,
We
Mhm.
need
It really
to,
would be
we need to
perfect.
have the drainage on the first one too.
yeah.
Mhm.
You're
Yeah.
right.
Which I
Hopefully,
think Lance is on
hopefully
top
they've
of.
got that
I would think
engineered
so.
in.
Yeah, we can ask him, but
Mhm.
yeah, I didn't know if you really can't put in a French drain, I don't suppose, you know, I know they kind of
Mhm.
frown on those, but I don't know what you could have, a loading pit or something to, just to wash that material away.
Mhm.
But right now, people are driving through that stuff, and,
Mm.
you know, it's,
Hmm.
yeah. But, okay, I'm going to ask Lance about it.
Mhm.
The next one is I have Dr. Booth. He's a dentist, I think, out of Bozeman, or he has the amphibious. Do you know him?
The blue and white, yellow one,
Yeah, the yellow one.
Yeah.
He's a dentist. Yeah. Where's he out of?
he's out of Bozeman.
He's out of Bozeman. Well, he approached me, and I asked him to get a hold of Auburn and stuff. But he's interested in putting a hangar at 8U9, and out at Canyon Ferry, and him and I believe his daughter, they fly up occasionally, or quite regularly, and she has a 170, I believe, and they park and go out over to the lake and stuff. So you might be seeing his application come through, but it seems like we're getting more and more interest in usage out there. So something that the board might want to.
And we can't put any additional hangars in out there.
I'm sorry.
I said we can't put additional hangars in at Canyon Ferry. We voted on that 10 years ago or longer.
July 15th, 2011.
Oh,
Mhm.
No,
Got it right.
That is a board
Yeah.
policy.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
not written in concrete, but that is the current policy.
oh, okay. Well, I didn't know if that needs to be re-examined or whatever, but. Yeah.
I mean, it's something that can certainly be brought up and discussed.
Yeah.
we will have a bunch of
Yeah. I
wild
can say
people.
from my standpoint, it won't happen,
No.
because there's already people that have raised concern about additional hangars that live in that area. They don't want them blocking their view of the lake.
Hmm.
So, I mean, if the board votes to do it, then it'll come to the commission and we'll have that discussion. It'll be a tough one,
Okay.
so.
Yeah.
Are there through the fence operations out there?
Yeah. Bob has one.
But they are available,
Yeah.
as far as I know. I mean, it's
Did I
up to
hear
the
that
board,
Don
you know,
Keller's
but
hangar was gonna be coming available?
You can buy a front
Yeah,
lot,
it might
taxi
be,
down
Yeah.
the dirt road.
But he
right?
wants,
Yep.
yeah. I don't know.
you want to
He's not
remember, I don't
good.
know if you're aware,
I knew
but
him a
that
long time
airport
ago. Yeah.
property runs clear to Hon Lake.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's all I have then.
Great, thank you. Any
Yeah.
questions for Dwight? Appreciate it.
Okay.
Thanks.
Okay, fuel pricing, the wholesale price now is $4.72 for 10,000 gallons. Our current retail price is $5.75. We're honestly in a very sweet spot as far as our price goes. We have a good margin. It's $1.03 over current pricing, and yet at the same time we're very competitively priced we've sold 53 gallons a day on average since our last meeting over the last 30 days. I'm not sure how much fuel we have left in the tank. Was that part of the discussion with your fuel guy to take a look at a better gauge? I know we discussed that. If there was a way to do that, I suspect we have around 3,500 or 4,000 gallons in there, judging by the meter. I would think that'd be very accurate. It would be nice to have a bottom line number, but anyway, my point is I think the fuel price is perfect. I don't think there's much discussion there.
No, I think we're fine.
Okay, is there any?
We're competitive, and that's all that
Yeah,
matters.
it's great.
It's good.
Any new business?
I do have something. I was approached by Leah, who is on the list for hangers, and her and Peter are trying to get an idea of moving forward once it gets to them on the list. And I think she maybe contacted Abra. I also reached out to Lance inquiring about lot sizes, because she's kind of curious. I think in our lease it just says we must maximize the sizes of those new lots. And as a board, we have not discussed that. And I know that Lance also had said that as they start the runway project, that they can, I don't know what the proper word is, but they can start building even as they're working on the project, once that gets all set up. So I think whether, obviously tonight, probably not the best time, but maybe to add it to the agenda for next month to start talking about these lot sizes, because once that project is done, or even once it starts, people are going to want to start building, obviously, with the list that we have going, and we need to be prepared and ready, you know, to tell these people, okay, this lot size is whatever, and so that they can move forward.
Okay,
I don't know how we go about doing that. I know Lance kind of had proposed some ideas with some layouts a few months ago. I don't know if that's something we need to revisit with him. He had mentioned to me that maybe we could talk about it tonight, but obviously not there, you know, but maybe we could add it to the agenda for next month.
okay, let's do that. And Jess, would you clarify? And I know Lance has given us a proposed rough hanger size or availability of hanger size on those new lots. Would you get a little bit more clarity from him for us so we can?
Sure.
You know, it'll obviously
Yep.
have to be a preliminary, like, hey, we expect it to be approximately this size.
Right.
But we could at
And I
least.
guess I'm unfamiliar with the original airport, like how it gets established, or, you know, like how did, like Daryl, for your case, like your lot, like who decided how big that lot was? Is that the board comes up with that? Or if somebody wanted to build a bigger hangar that we didn't have a spot for, you just say, sorry, you can't build that big a hangar? How's that work?
Well, at that time, those lots were already dimensioned out. So we knew.
Right.
I
Yeah.
believe them came on the airport layout plan,
It could have been,
but
yeah.
I remember years past it being mentioned that if we ran out of the big lots,
Mhm.
we would have to take and combine two of the smaller lots.
Right. But I think, Jess, you're right. This is a good opportunity to get that lined out to maximize our space. 'Cause just looking at what Lance had originally proposed there, I think there'll be several larger spaces and then some smaller spaces.
Yep.
And so, yeah.
He actually had
he did.
multiple plans
He
with
did have-
multiple hangar sizes.
So I think it's up to the board to decide which direction they want to go.
This type.
And which also, to add the whole SEO topic as well,
Yeah.
Right.
we're talking about those lot sizes and how big and where we want to kind of put that. I mean, think we're all kind of in the same consensus, but
Yep.
just food for thought and something to add for next month.
Okay, Jess, would you be willing to get that organized for us?
Yes,
Okay.
I will handle that.
And Rob just showed me a couple sheets from Lance that show some preliminary lot sizes that he had proposed. So Lance can provide that to you, or Rob here can too as well. And
Yeah, I think I actually have them in my binder, but yes, I will try and get some stuff organized, and I'll be in contact with Lance and see if we can at least start moving forward. I just know, like I said, Leah reached out to me, and her and Peter want to, start moving forward on their plans, and I really didn't have any direction to tell her, and so I think it's only fair that we get our ducks in a row sooner than later.
yeah, that sounds great.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I did answer her email, and I let her know where she was on the list of the priority and what the plan was for spring and also for fall, and that the board would be making some decisions about hangar sizes, and that we let her know. She was just concerned about whether she was still on the list, and.
This
so
is
I
the
assured-
Leah?
Yeah, I assured her
Okay.
that she was still on the list, what position she was in, and that the board would be getting to
Rob,
her soon.
did you have, where you had
Thank you.
those deals with the hangars, did
Yeah.
you have that by any particular paperwork from, so I know about what month that, because I know what was handed to
I think
us.
it was a month,
You're talking about Brian.
it was May.
Yep.
Oh,
I know, I don't have Brian's
the-
stuff.
The
Start with
ones
those
with the
two
hanger
sheets.
sizes
It
and,
was May, wasn't it?
yeah, the stuff
This
from
is, well,
Pesci.
here's the two different,
'Cause he wasn't here last
Is
month.
There's the
there's
two
no,
different
no date
plans.
on that, but were they with
I can find it.
another set of minutes or whatever?
no, those are floating,
Okay.
yeah.
He
I
said,
just-
he
I
said
printed
it
them
was
out.
documented.
I'll just have to go through
I
this.
printed them out at
I
home.
need to anyway.
And it sounds like Galbra has them too, if you
I
can't
can
find them.
resend them to you.
Great. Thank you, Jess. Any other new business?
I actually have something, and it kind of relates back to when, this discussion I'm gonna have with our county attorneys. I should have thought of this then. If the proposal is to have everyone sign a new lease, how would you think that how do I wanna state this? They're signed for 20 years and then can be renewed, right? Do you want these leases to be continued for the dates that they have, or do you want them to start brand new from the time they sign a new lease?
Right.
What's your thought?
I feel it should go from the time the lease is signed. So the new lease,
So
when it's signed.
they would just start over?
Yep.
They would start
Yep.
over, brand new? Or,
I could go either way on it. I mean, we're simply, from my perspective, we're updating the leases.
Yeah.
Now, technically, is it a new lease? Yeah, I suppose so.
Mhm.
So again, I think we'd have to defer to them, but I don't feel strongly about it either way.
Yeah, I think the term of the new lease they're signing would be whatever's in the lease.
rather than
And so that,
continuing with
reset
the
the
dates
clock.
that they have?
yep, it's a new lease.
It may be how do I say this, a selling point, because it technically, I'm just reverting back to the whole new ownership situation of not the city, but only a county airport, that is a new overall lease.
Mm-hmm,
It's not revision of the old lease,
right.
and therefore starting it over day one.
Mm-hmm,
Okay.
yep, I agree.
So we've got two board members that have voiced their opinion that it should be a new date to be signed for 20 years. You guys have an opinion on it?
I agree.
You agree?
Yeah.
I concur. It's just like, if you were buying a house and it had a renter in it,
Mhm.
you'd have to sign a new lease with the renter. So if the county bought out,
Right.
air quote,
Mm-hmm,
the city, you'd have to have a new lease.
mm-hmm.
I think if we were just changing things, changing wording, revising things, that's a different situation, but this is a whole different ownership type thing.
Okay, perfect.
Okay.
Thank you for that.
Great. Is there any other new business? Would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
In favor?
Aye.
All right,
Thank you, everyone.
wow.